Hey, you guys, and welcome to my channel. I know, your jaw is dropping. Like, what could I possibly have in common with such a low vibrating, horribly evil person? Like, really? Well, we're going to talk about it in this audio, guys. In this audio, I'm going to talk about what you have in common with the narcissist. Because, yes, the survivor typically has some things in common with a narcissist, or else why would you had even been able to even embark on that relationship, particularly in a romantic setting? Now, those of you who were born into that situation, as far as it was a caretaker, your mother, father, in those instances, you're typically groomed. All right. So this is more so for those of you who are choosing lovers and friends, and those type of connections, and not the ones that we're necessarily born into and groomed. All right. So, as far as the things that we have in common with the narcissist, number one, the survivor and the narcissist have in common that they are running from themselves. Just as an alcoholic is using alcohol to run from themselves. And when I say run from themselves, running from feelings, running from doing the work, filling the voids, with something. So the alcoholic is using alcohol, right? The drug addict is using drugs. But in the case of the narcissist and the survivor, they're using relationships. Yeah. They're using relationships with people, places, and things. And, in that instance, the relationship with people, each other, to run from themselves, because both is adding to the pot, a certain level of toxicity. And, it's just very damaging. And it's not an environment to promote becoming healthy per se, but it could, inherently become so unhealthy that at least the survivor eventually just can't even tolerate that level. So that's the good part of it, but unfortunately it comes with a scream from the universe, as we all know. But yes, that is the number one thing that you have in common with the narcissist. Both of you are running from yourselves in some shape, form, or fashion. And if you really just think about it, you'll see where that was the truth. Okay? And it's okay. We all run from things at times in our life, but as long as we're having that awareness, we can begin to at least think about, well, why am I running? All right. So that might tie into the second thing that the narcissist and the survivor has in common. And that is that both of you are codependent. Yeah. The survivor is a codependent and the narcissist is a codependent. Now, the codependency plays out differently, is projected differently from each side, but nonetheless, there's codependency going on. And that's basically when you're valuing a relationship above yourself, like your whole existence, your whole, reality is just tied up in what's going on in this relationship. All right, you're enmeshing with another person. Is just a severe focus and control on a maintenance of a relationship, if you will. And it becomes codependent because there's basically there's chemical things going on psychologically in the brain that's creating all types of toxic bonds in these codependent relationships. All right. Because anytime we're doing looking externally to get our fulfillment, that's going to be something that's built on sand and a lot of toxicity. So let's talk about the codependent aspect of things. And, there are different traits, if you will, of codependency, and they're put under different categories. So I figure I would go through each category and basically say the things that the narcissist and the survivor have in common, in those categories. All right. So let's first go to denial. All right. So we're getting into the shared traits. Denial patterns, as far as that goes, it would be something like both the survivor and the narcissist think they can take care of themselves without the help from others. And that's kind of like that illusion in the rosy colored glasses, because they're both codependent and thriving, not in a good way, but they're getting this energy off of being in this relationship and they're seeking it. But yet both sides feel, that they can take care of themselves. Like if I were to ask the narcissist, they would out of their ego say that they could, and the codependent a lot of time is blinded by their attachment issues and not necessarily seeing, they think they can take care of themselves because they're so independent and they're taking care of the narcissist. But, there's an aspect to that relationship that's actually soothing you and taking care of you as well. Maybe it's not financially, it's emotional and psychological, and that's the part of the denial pattern. Okay. Another part of the denial pattern is that both the narcissist and the survivor tend to mask their pain in various such ways, such as anger, humor, and isolation. Now, yes, the narcissist is going to be more prone to using anger, of course, but the survivor will be more prone probably to using humor and isolation. But they're both masking the pain because both wanting to be accepted for one reason or another. The narcissist wants to get that supply, so they want to be accepted to get the supply, and the survivor wants to be accepted to stay in a relationship and have so they won't feel rejected. Okay. Another part of the denial pattern is that both parties tend to not recognize the unavailability of those people to whom they are attracted. Boy, isn't that a big one? Isn't that a big one? Not recognizing the unavailability of the people with whom they are attracted. Now, the narcissist, they're just in a fantasy world somewhere, and they're not trying to be intimate with anyone. But then we have the survivor who's actually trying to be intimate with someone, but their desires and need for it is so great that it's actually not giving them clear vision to what's going on, because they want to see what they want to see so bad. They want it to be that relationship so bad that it's skewing them from being able to see things clearly, because their agenda is too powerful for them to just be in the moment, really. And that leads to, of course, minimizing things and, wearing those rosy colored glasses. So that's just under the denial aspect of the codependency. Let's go to another aspect of codependency, and these are low self-esteem patterns. We can all agree that the narcissist has some low self-esteem, no matter how grandiose. The real them have some self-esteem issues. And obviously the survivor did as well, because, we were settling. We were settling for far less, guys. So let's talk about the aspects of the low self-esteem patterns of codependency that both parties share. All right. One aspect is definitely valuing others' approval in thinking and feelings and behaviors over their own. Yeah. we could definitely see it really quick how the survivor does it. And then some of you are like, I don't think the narcissist valued my approval and my thinking and feelings and behaviors over their own. Well, when they're wearing that mask and they're so concerned with their image, they certainly are. They certainly are valuing it in that moment. Okay, so whenever they want to have this image in front of society, in front of the masses, in front of their coworkers, and even with you during the love bomb phase, they need that approval of your thinking and feelings and their behaviors in those moments, okay? So they are valuing it at those times. Another aspect is basically not perceiving themselves as lovable and worthwhile. Typically, the survivor is not perceiving themselves as lovable and worthwhile, and the narcissist certainly is not perceiving themselves as lovable, worthwhile, or else why can't they just let you meet themselves right off the bat? Why does it have to be a mask, right? There's the proof in the pudding right there. And then as far as the survivor, a lot of them may be in denial about that. But you wouldn't have been able to tolerate some of that poor treatment from the narcissist if you thought you were really worthwhile. You know, you would have had those boundaries, all right? So one more area under the low self-esteem patterns that I would have put, that I want to point out is they both have trouble setting healthy priorities. Healthy priorities, because here we have the survivor putting a relationship on the throne, and the narcissist does too, for the supply. You know, the narcissist is doing it for supply, and, you know, the survivor is doing it for acceptance and what they feel is love, you know. So let's go to another aspect under codependency, or basically another category of patterns here, and that's compliance patterns, okay? So let's talk about some of the commonalities here, and those would be, number one, I accept sexual attention when I want love. I'm sure many survivors have been pressured into having it prematurely because they wanted to feel loved, and they're like, well, I have to give this sex to feel love. So yeah, accepting sexual attention. And then the narcissist is doing it to boost their ego. You know, they're getting a high off of it. They're feeling, you know, wanted and loved and desired, and so does the survivor as well. So, you know, but it's more egotistical with the narcissist. So they're accepting that sexual attention as a form of supply in that way. All right. Another item under the compliance patterns is I make decisions without regard to consequences. And we can clearly see where the narcissist falls for that, because, you know, they're running off their emotions. So they're not in their logic. So when you're not in your logic, chances are you're not going to be thinking about consequences. But guess what? The survivor does it as well before they're a survivor. Okay. Before they've gotten out of it, when they're caught up in the cycles of abuse, they're so addicted on those trauma bonds and the soul ties. Are you kidding me? They're making decisions without regards to the consequences because they're in the thick of it, and they're getting those dopamine releases in their brain, and it just feels so good when that love bomb comes back around, and you have a hard time, like a drug addict, saying no to that narcissist. So now you're making decisions without regard to the consequences, like, okay, yeah, it's going to feel sweet in this moment, but then, you know, when's the devalue and the discard coming? Then I'm going to be having quickly back to reality, because the love bomb is not the reality, okay? The love bomb is not the reality. So the last thing that I have under the compliance patterns is both sides tend to give up their truth to gain approval of others or to avoid change. You know, the narcissist can simply do this when they don't want to argue with you. They're maybe thinking, look, I just want my supply. I ain't come here for all these words. Yeah, okay. They'll act like they're agreeing with you. No, yeah, of course I would never cheat. No, they're going to be cheating on you later on that night, but of course they're going to tell you that. They're going to give up their truth, okay, and live a lie for you so that they will get the approval, which is the supply, or to avoid changing. Like, I'm not going to tell you I'm going to still cheat on you. I'm going to try to keep a perception of a happy home to you so I can still get the supply. And, this also goes for the survivor swallowing too much, biting their tongue, if you will, and not standing up for themselves, not really having that voice. So you're giving up your truth in that point as well so that you could gain approval and, have to avoid the change because, that muscle for you of saying no, of stepping up for yourself, that might be weak. And, if you're still in your toxicity, you're not trying to really challenge yourself at that point to get out of it. So you're trying to avoid the change as well. All right. So let's go on to another category of codependency and talk about where both parties, basically the narcissist and the survivor, are more alike than you think. Let's talk about control patterns, okay? Because there are some control patterns in regards to codependency where they're definitely alike, all right? And here are several of them. I have both of them basically try to convince others what to think, do, or feel. Yeah, we clearly see where the narcissist does this, but guess what? The survivor does it too when they're trying to rescue. All right. The survivor that's in codependency, before they get healed, when they're trying to rescue others, you're doing it by trying to guide them, by trying to help them and tell them what to do. All right. The next one is for control patterns. They lavish gifts and favors on those they want to influence. Yeah, the narcissist does this in a love bomb phase, to make you think they're going to be the perfect woman or the knight in shining armor, And survivors do it too because they want to show how wonderful they are and how generous they are and how they think how lovable they are. Like, look at all of this that I have, how worthy. They're trying to prove their worth. So yeah, they may shower the narcissist with gifts and favors as well to continuously try to prove their worth. All right. And the next thing that I have here is basically using sexual attention to gain approval and acceptance. Yeah, both parties do that. Both parties do that. That one is self-explanatory. And the last one that I have here under control patterns is pretend to agree with others to get what I want. Yeah. So we can clearly see where the narcissist does that, where they're mirroring and love bombing. But, the survivor pretends as well. And is yet again, swallowing a lot of things, not speaking up, being too agreeable, being, a people pleaser. A lot of survivors struggle with that. So that is a part of control patterns. All right. You want to control that relationship. You want to keep yourself favorable and in a good, light with that person. And that's what happens. All right. So let's talk about the last section that I have here under codependency patterns, and that's the avoidance aspect of things. All right. So the first thing here that I have on the list is both parties tend to avoid emotional, physical, or sexual intimacy as a means of maintaining distance. There were times, I know in my relationship with a narc that I did try to avoid sexual intimacy there because I wanted to maintain distance because I wanted to pull away from that individual. And, I didn't want to give them that piece of me anymore. But narcissists, they do it as punishment and to hurt the other person. And they're never trying to really have intimacy anyway when they have sex. It's an act. So sexual intimacy and sex are two different things. All right. The next thing that I have here is both allow addictions to people, places, and things to distract them from achieving intimacy in relationships. All right. Always busy over here, busy over there, basically. All right. And it also speaks to self-sabotaging. All right. So I'm sure you can see that on both ends of the spectrums. The next thing that I have here is both parties use indirect and evasive communication to avoid conflict or confrontation. All right, so now we're talking about passive aggressiveness here, and we can see where the narcissist is that as well. Most of the time, they're not coming right out and saying things. That's the thing with them. They're very, very passive aggressive, and the survivors as well, as they aren't used to speaking up and saying no. The next best thing to them would be to be passive aggressive and hope that the person is catching on to it. All right. So the next thing that I have here on the list is both parties tend to diminish their capacity to have a healthy relationship by declining to use the tools of recovery. All right. This is relapsing. This is taking the narcissist Hoover. And this is, the narcissist's perpetual cycle of abuse right there. And their refusal to, change themselves to become healthy. All right. The next thing that I have here under avoidance, the avoidance patterns, is they both tend to suppress their feelings or needs to avoid feeling vulnerable. We clearly see where the narcissist does it. And there are times and definitely stages with the survivor where that occurs as well, because you've been hurt so many times. You become a little numb too. You can become a little numb, whereas the narcissist is very numb. All right. So yes, it does happen on both sides of the spectrum there. Now, the last thing that I have here, is it the last one? It is. It's the last thing. For the avoidance pattern is both parties tend to pull people towards them, but then when they get close, push them away. All right. And we definitely see where the narcissist self-sabotages, because they're not really looking for true intimacy, but the survivor does it just because of their toxic behaviors and their toxic picker. Like, you're picking toxic people. You're going to be on that push and pull to begin with, constantly bumping heads to begin with. But because you're just in that energy of toxicity, it's going to be a push and pull. All right, until you get out of it. So there you have it, guys. The ways that the narcissist and the survivor actually, have some commonality. You do. You actually have some commonality there. So you're both running from yourselves. All right. And then you have a lot of codependent shared patterns here. And then we went through the different sections. We had the denial patterns. We have the low self-esteem patterns. We have the compliance patterns. We have control patterns, and then we have avoidance patterns, guys. All right. So I hope that this video has been really informative to someone. It's one of my longer videos here. And hopefully, it didn't bore anybody. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Knowledge is definitely power when utilized here. And, a lot of times we see ourselves so different from the narcissist. And I just want you to see where you guys have some commonality, because, birds of a feather do flock together in a certain sense, meaning there is something in your energy, and of course, we're talking about the people that weren't born into the situation. to where you guys were able to be on any kind of similar or same wavelength for a certain period of time. And especially for those of you who we're talking about years with the narcissist, all right? You have some type of commonality there, and that's the attraction point that keeps taking you back. So if you understand these commonalities, and you'll know what you need to work on within yourself so that you don't have that commonality, you're not on that wavelength with a narcissist anymore, or any other narc when they come, all right? So if this video resonates with you, go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't done so already, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. Please hit the bell so that you'll be notified when I upload any new videos. Over 500 videos here on the channel now to help you understand narcissistic abuse, help you understand psychology, help you with your shadow work, and just understanding relationships with people, places, and things, and just increasing your emotional maturity, so forth and so on. Take what you can to help you on your journey, of course. I have a support group, guys, over on Facebook for survivors of narcissistic abuse. That link is below all of my videos. Just inbox me and let me know that you are a survivor. I do, guys, offer one-on-one coaching. I do recommend this to all survivors. I do it through voice calls, I do Skype, I do FaceTime, I do email coaching, I have mobile texting support. My Patreon monthly memberships is a great way to get that. I highly recommend that you do look at my Patreon. I have different monthly memberships there where you can get access to me and save money. Other than that, I have a whole bunch of services that I do offer over on my website, LakiaCrawford.com. That information is below my videos as well. Just keep doing the work and be willing to invest on yourself if you feel like, you know what, I've watched all these videos and just something that I just can't connect the dots with, something that I'm really just not clear on. There's an aspect of things where I just really feel stuck. You could talk to someone who's basically an expert in this area, and, we'll shed a light on it and help you see what you need to see so that you can, continue down on the healing process or whatever self-improvements that you're trying to make, within yourself. All right. So each one, teach one. The best way to support this channel, guys, is always to like the videos. Please like the videos and leave comments. Share the information. Emotional maturity is not shared in schools, guys. So we need to be passing these videos around to people that need to hear them. Beyond yourself. Let's make this the last generation. Tell your children about it. Your nieces, your nephews, people in your community, your friends and your family. Your coworkers, whatever, each one teach one. Each one teach one. And we can raise the planet's emotional maturity, what a great thing that would be, huh? Other than that, guys, thank you for all the support that you show on this channel. I really do appreciate the growth and all the love and beautiful people and spirits and energies that I have met. Just keep doing the work, guys, and never give up on yourself, all right? And until next time, please take care.